All federally sponsored trials are subject to two sets of similar regulations enforced by the Department of Health and Human Services Office for Human Research Protections and the Food and Drug Administration to ensure the protection of people who participate. The Office for Human Research Protections, also called the OHRP, protects those participating in research and provides leadership for all federal agencies that carry out research involving people. The OHRP enforces important regulations for participant protection in clinical trials, called the Common Rule, which includes the informed consent process for all participants in clinical trials funded entirely or in part by the federal government.
Many people think that participant rights are not protected in clinical trials because of past abuses of research participants. Today, federal regulations help ensure that clinical trials are run in an ethical manner. The law requires that, at a minimum, all participants in any federally funded clinical trial learn about the study protocol through a process called informed consent. This information helps individuals decide whether or not to participate in a clinical trial.
Informed consent is a critical part of ensuring participants' safety in research. Informed consent is an ongoing process during which potential participants learn important information about a clinical trial. This information helps them decide whether to participate. The research team, which is made up of doctors and nurses, first explains the trial to potential participants in understandable language. The team explains the trial's purpose, procedures, risks and benefits, and participant rights. These participant rights include the rights to make an independent decision about participating and the right to leave the study at any time without jeopardizing future treatment.
Children under the age of 18 are not deemed legally capable of giving true informed consent, so they are asked for their assent to or dissent from participation in a clinical trial. The trial must be explained in age-appropriate language or using visual aids. Parents or guardians must give informed permission for their child to participate in a trial. Together, a child's assent and parental permission constitute informed consent. Assent must be obtained from children and young people over age 7, unless the child is found to be incapable of assenting or the clinical trial offers a treatment or procedure that holds out a prospect of direct benefit that is important to the health or well-being of the child and is available only in the context of research. In other words, if the trial offers a treatment that is thought to be better than those currently available, or if it offers the only alternative to those available.
The informed consent process does not end once an informed consent form is signed. If new benefits, risks, or side effects are discovered during a trial, the researchers must inform study participants. In addition, participants are encouraged to ask questions at any time about what is happening during the trial. This information helps participants make educated decisions about whether to continue participating in a clinical trial.
Most clinical trials are subject to different types of review that are designed to protect all participants. All federally funded clinical trials must be reviewed by groups called Institutional Review Boards, or IRBs. IRBs are made up of people who are qualified to evaluate new and ongoing clinical trials on the basis of scientific, legal, and ethical merit. The board members determine whether the risks involved in a trial are reasonable with respect to the potential benefits. Institutional review boards also monitor the ongoing progress of trials from beginning to end. Federal law requires IRB approval for clinical trials that are federally funded or evaluating a new drug, agent, or medical device subject to regulation by the Food and Drug Administration. A number of institutions require that all clinical trials, regardless of funding, be approved and reviewed by local IRBs. Potential participants considering a clinical trial should ask if it's been approved by an IRB.
For Phase 3 trials, Data and Safety Monitoring Boards, also called DSMBs for short, are required to be established by federal law in order to help ensure participants' safety. From time to time, depending on the nature of a clinical trial, a DSMB may also be appropriate for certain Phase 1 and 2 clinical trials, though there is no legal regulatory requirement. A DSMB is an independent committee made up of statisticians, physicians, and other expert scientists. The Data and Safety Monitoring Board must ensure that any risks associated with participation are minimized to the extent practical and possible, avoid exposing participants to excessive risk, ensure the integrity of trial data, and stop a trial if safety concerns arise or as soon as its objectives have been met.
Data and Safety Monitoring Boards also monitor all trial results. If early results show clear advantages of a new drug, the sponsor of the study may choose to end the trial early and establish a protocol allowing wider use of the drug before final approval for marketing. If a drug is shown to have a strongly negative effect, the trial is stopped immediately.